Alright guys, hello, good morning, or good evening, or good day wherever you are. And we are back with the third part of 1d6 against everything speedrun. Everything stays the same, as always. We use the lines from our chessable course. 1d6 against everything, with white 1d3 against everything, and we learned the arising structures and ideas. Last time, in part 2, we reached 1200 from 1000, and today we are going to continue on our way to 3000. And good morning to Neil Philip. It's morning for you. Where are you from? If I can ask. Okay, let's play the English rat. We've talked about this several times, but d5 is something the other players have not played yet. So against d5, I strongly suggest that we play a5. This is of course recommended in the course. Then you go knight a6, bring one knight here, and in addition to that, you play the move g6, and then you follow up with the bishop to h6. So you trade off your opponent's dark squared bishop, so that our dark squared bishop is not passive. Okay, let's go knight c5 first. Is not passive here on g7. This is the strategical plan which you need to remember. It's not that important in which move order you do this. It's just important that you do it. That's why we always said, or I always said as well, that memorization is not so important in this course. It's way more. It's way more about strategical understanding, which is, I think, a very good thing. So let's try to go knight h5, preparing maybe f5 or queen h4. My opponent goes here. Queen h4 looks relatively tempting to me. But let's start with bishop d7 so that there are no knight b5 tricks attacking c7. You're in Germany. I'm going to visit Germany this weekend for the Bundesliga. 9:30 for me as well. Yep, maybe PUBG. Welcome. Again, a speedrun. I'm going to have a lot of work with the speedrun. It's not easy to reach 3000. Let's go queen f6. I'm counting on knight d, ed, knight f, ef. Sorry, I have not woken up yet. And then we attack the knight, and after knight e2 my intention was to go f3 and then try to open up everything around my opponent's king. g5 is also not a bad move, but I think f3 should be played. Just 1 second. Takes knight d4, queen g4, king h1, rook e1. Actually not so sure, because I don't want to allow my opponent to attack. Let's go g5. I had a change of heart. Yeah, I play for Heimbach-Weiss Neuwied in the first Bundesliga on board 1. Let's solidify with what? With h6 or with queen e5? But my opponent's gonna go g3. g3, and it won't be ideal again. I don't like how I played this. I'm down on the clock quite a bit. Okay. Let's trade and speed up. Bring the king to e5 now. Rook b8 followed by b5 is a very, very typical idea. This we've already said. Whenever they try to chase the knights, then use this a pawn to block 2 pawns from your opponent. Allowing e5, which my opponent maybe should play. Knight b5. This one I can surely take and go rook a5. This is, I think, a strategical mistake on my opponent's part. I can do it immediately, but I just want to stop counterplay first. I just don't want my opponent to have no e5s, and then I'm gonna go rook a5, rook b5. I don't see a way for him to stop it. I also need to speed up a bit. The course is better than the Rogozin. I mean, the engines will say no because of the objective evaluation, but from my experience playing it over the board, I will say yes, because it has brought me better results than the Rogozin. when you consider how little people study d6, you have the element of surprise, and oh, game abandoned. Yeah, I have not played this game perfectly. I'm going to analyze it briefly, just to see some things. Yeah, g6, bishop h6. The position after the opening was surely quite fine. And yeah, we got this fighting position, knight f4. What have I done wrong? Queen h4. So queen h4 was better because of this line, and after f3, g up, there was immediately bishop h3. And when I played queen f6, takes 6 takes. Now if f3, yeah, there was also this, but if this happens, then I didn't see a way how to stop f4. Like, even if I go queen h4, oh no, not this immediately. What was I looking at? Rook g1, I think. And then f4, and maybe it will even backfire that I'm trying to attack here. Then that's why I played g5, but that also allowed my opponent some things. Okay, still. f6 is not best, but they just wanted my opponent not to even have the open file. Okay. It wasn't that badly played after all. Let's keep going. The English rat strikes again. He'll ask for a refund for Mircea scores. Yeah, we could do that. Dobar dan, Angelica, welcome to the stream. As we said, against c5 and all of this, we use this setup, and then we later on try to either attack or more likely take the center. h3, bishop e3, knight bd2. Or more likely take the center, as we have already played in 1 or 2 games. So now we go e5, force the knight somewhere, and then we should, I think, push to e4. It's not a necessity though, but it fights really nicely against the knight on d7, which is now restricted. And same as we have seen in some games before, we'll follow up with knight c3, bishop d3, and start pushing the pawns. So my opponent wants to take the knight on c3 when it comes there. Let's start with this. Now I can slowly but surely start thinking about bishop h7 and knight g5 followed by queen h5, the typical Greek gift. And I'm an expert in Greek gifts, as some people may know. So if king g6 or if king h6, I'm gonna go f5. If king g6, queen g4, and here queen h5. Now my opponent has to move the rook. And while I don't have anything concrete, I'm just gonna go for the slow attack after queen h7 here, queen h8, king e7, queen g7, f7 will hang, and f5 will, with a breakthrough, will come again, and my opponent's pieces are quite far away from the king. So I'm pretty sure it's still a good line for me, even though I don't gain immediately back the piece. Okay, so what are the options now? Queen f6, knight h7, those are options. f5 is an option, because then I'll have bishop g5. f5 I actually like the most, because after ef, knight f7, or maybe not knight f7, maybe knight h7. I was also able to play a3. It would trap the bishop, but there was knight c4 as well, which I'm absolutely not sure about. Okay, this cannot possibly be good. I just need to prove now why. So should I take bishop takes, knight takes? I mean, I don't see anything concrete. Probably there is, but I just don't see it. However, I think it's absolutely good enough to go here. And then if my opponent plays knight c4, take a b4, knight e3, go f6, king e8, and knight h7. That's the plan. Then I think this will hang. Refined Rogozing, maybe different animal. Yeah, could be. Refined may be good. Okay, if I get bishop, now I'm not material down anymore. Knight c3 is a move. Queen f6. It's also a move. Can I go knight f7 finally? After it takes bishop g5, king e6, there is queen g6. After king e8, there is what? Queen g8, rook f8, queen g6, rook f7. I mean, I think it works, but let's just develop one more piece. Knight c2, then I'm gonna do that. Queen c6. Okay, there should be many winning ways. Rook g8 is of course not possible due to bishop g5 check, and then this is mate, and otherwise I'll take the rook. Cutius animal. Cutius, probably cute in some language, but I'm not sure. Greek nightmare rather. No, not nightmare. Anyway, this plan has been very, very efficient thus far. So after c4, d6, or of course reversed, it's even better. After c4, d6, yeah, this is the plan. Just go for this setup and start attacking. Of course, I forgot to update the wins again. There were 2 of them thus far. It's 50 now. This is a very bad gift. Was it not objectively good? You're a GM, you should tell me. Good morning, Zorakaya. Hello, Fanda22. I like these openings because it makes opponent ruin their position by trying too hard to attack. Yeah. That's also, like in the Philidor and 1d6, you don't seize a lot of space, you don't create a lot of weaknesses, and very often they overextend, and we can exploit that. Like now. Okay, let's go d4. Now we won a pawn, so d3 is not needed anymore. Let's go c4. Open things up. Now what? ct is good, knight c6 is good. Knight c3 is good. Let's just go knight c3. The idea is after knight e5, either d or maybe even knight d5 first. Knight d5 first. There is no nonsense, right? No bishop b4s, so I can include this with a tempo and then take. Although maybe my opponent can just move the queen now, I don't know, to some square. So d, queen e, bishop f4, queen b2, knight c7, king d7, queen d6. That would be the dream. Bishop f4. There is bishop b4. But okay, then I'll just take and bring the knight back, or play e3 first and then bring the knight back. It will still be a clean pawn, but my opponent has to find it first. Yeah, Zaraka, good game. 50 wins should be party, if you say so. We have won this one quickly and efficiently. 1d3 strikes again. I'll change this to 51 before I forget. Gift should be good, and it's rather bad for black. Yeah. That's how Greek gifts usually work. They look nice, but they don't work. Hikaru plays similar openings in Blitz with Fianchetto, and it works well against GMs. Relatively similar, however, a big difference is that against 1e4, we use the Philidor, where we put the bishop on e2 or e7, and we don't Fianchetto it. And Nakamura Fianchettos the bishop in move 1, playing the modern. There are also chessable courses on the modern up there. Guys, let me remind you. Let's use the chessable command once more. Okay, so now if they play some setups like this, they're playing basically a reversed Philidor. So using our weapons against us, but now we can use this plan of seizing more space with c5, knight c6, and now they want to go f4, and when your opponent wants to attack on a side of the board, then you usually strike in the center. So even with a tempo down, I'm definitely gonna go here, and now we have some kind of version of the King's Indian, which is supposed to be, I think, very, very good for black. We're going to take here. Bishop takes, and now, okay, you can take the bishop pair. That's the first thing that comes to mind. However, also bishop g5 Move like this is not dumb. Takes, then knight e3 will be a threat. Queen d2 later done. I just want to play positional way. Take, bishop d6, bring the pieces to these diagonals and potentially attack white. Queen h4, let's say. The King's Indian setup with the fianchetto against d4, I'm absolutely playing. However, against e4, no. Okay, my opponent was not careful about my threats. Now knight e4, he's not in time yet, and when he defends with rook f2, knight e4 remains a threat, but we can stop it with bishop f5 and take next move. So yeah, the course is more universal. Sometimes we go for g6, bishop g7 against d4, against e4, against e4, c4, or knight f3. We played setups with the bishop on e7. Knight back. Let's bring the last piece which is not active in the game, the rook on a8. Okay, this rook is also not active yet. So, okay, this one take. Now, rook e4 is of course very normal. Knight e5 is tempting because I want to bring the knight to g4 or force white to take, and then there would be nice threats here, but you guys know me, I was always very materialistic. Bishop d3. Where do we want to go? Maybe just back. Knight e5 will come anyway after a few moves. I don't care about this pawn, to be perfectly honest. I just want to attack and get rid of my opponent's defending pieces. He can take this with check, doesn't matter. I think it will just come under a tempo quite quickly. Okay, knight g4 is surely a good move. Takes, rook f3, queen h2, king f2 is not that ideal as far as I can see, so let's go there. Then we have knight e3 as well. That is a nice way of playing. I'll definitely check the course out. Yeah, I think the short and sweet will come out today. So short and sweet you can definitely use to check some of the lines and see if you like the overall nature of the course. And I'm gonna go c4 now. I want to bring one more piece into the attack. My bishop was was not doing much, and I want it to do more. So I guess take here first. Queen takes knight e3, and then we take the queen. I always say who needs queens anyway, but okay, my opponent doesn't want to give up the queen. But this is also not ideal, because now they come under a check and go back, and now can slowly but surely start taking everything. First the g2 pawn, it's again a check, and now there's no more king g1, so we're finally going to take the queen. Here. I have 26 seconds, that should be more than enough. Especially because I don't see how to stop mate in a couple of moves. I'll come back to the chat as soon as the game is over, guys, which is right about now. Hello Geezer Chess, welcome to the channel. Back in the 1990s, Andrew Saltis wrote a book on 1d6 against everything. I didn't know that, but yeah, I guess it's an older book. I'm not that familiar with it. It's surely a good book, and they put a lot of effort in it. I would like to know the lines in it. Maybe I'll check it out. When does the long version come out? The long version has come out yesterday, and already really a lot of people bought it, and the reviews are mostly very positive, so I'm happy. Yeah, something more up to date is finally finally out. We have worked quite hard, but I've used it very successfully, the lines from the course, against players, against over the board, against players, even against Perugia in the Bundesliga, but against many strong GMs. I never had problems out of the opening, so... yeah. All in all, the long version you can immediately buy. Yeah, against this, what we were suggesting was knight bd7, followed by e4, rook e8, and then the idea will just be to seize more space here. Okay, of course they can take. And now we are actually spoiled for choice. Knight g4 is a move if we want to keep the bishop open. D is more normal. Knight g4, bishop b2, knight e5, take, and then... Okay, I'm gonna go here. Because if the pawn was on b3, I would not have done it. But with the pawn on b4, this pawn looks like a weakness in the future. You'll see what I mean in a few moves. So bishop b2, I'm gonna take, and after we trade the knights, I'll play bishop to e6, and with the pawn being on b4, not on b3, this is going to be a weakness. So bishop e6, or bishop g4 include first. No, bishop e6. Attack here. I could have taken the bishop pair, it was also fine, but this is more ambitious. The knight on d5 looks nice, but it doesn't really do much. So tactics don't work yet, but I didn't want to go for tactics anyway. I wanted to play positionally with c6 and then try to take this pawn. Try to take this pawn next move, if allowed. So if bishop takes, the rook would hang. After knight f4, I think I can play bishop takes c4 now. Bishop c4, knight c4, queen d4, check, there is knight e5 back. Even though after that this pawn will be weak. And if I play knight d3, bishop g7, knight f4, bishop f8. Don't see a good discovery or a way to attack. Somehow tactically what I wanted does not work. Knight c4 doesn't work. Okay, we're gonna have to go for bishop c4. Even though it's not ideal, it still looks like the best move. Yeah, d4, d6, c4, e5, the so-called English rat. This is what I used. This is what I used in the first game today. In the speedrun, e4, d6, d... Yeah, c6 is not what we give. We give e5 and the Philidor. Okay, here it should be a pawn up, because the rook is hanging. Or, okay, if not a rook up, then it will be an exchange up. This was not as good for my opponent as the other one, which I was more afraid of. Let's go queen d6, attack some stuff. Yeah, that one is already out, Zoraka. That's the first thing that comes out. The big course, and then the short and sweet several days later. Let's go rook d8. Just bring the rooks to the open files, that's where they belong. I'll need to be a bit careful about time. Let's go queen d4. Bishop f7, by the way, is a threat now, because the rook on d8 is undefended. However, after this, it will be defended, and also we'll get rid of this queen, which is relatively annoying. King g7 is also okay. Let's kick the queen. Need to be a bit careful about rook d1. But as soon as I consolidate, I can just start pushing all of these pawns down the board. When modern GMs are making chessable courses, are they usually just using engine to modify old made lines and create sidelines? Of course, the engine use exists. Just a second. How do I consolidate the best? Maybe queen g7. But it's not necessarily about improving. Sometimes you just find new ideas and analyze them. Not everything has been like analyzed before, so it really varies. My opponent is doing quite a lot of good job doing counterplay. Around 2000, a couple of GMs wrote the 6 repertoire too. Yeah, could be. I'm not that familiar with the predecessors of 1d6. Yeah, this is a problem. I have 15 seconds. I need to speed up. I know that I'm giving up the pawn, but I wanted to open the H file. That's probably not ideal, but I don't have time. I might lose this game in time. Wouldn't be surprised. But it's not about winning or losing. We got everything we wanted out of the opening, and that's what matters. Still, I'll try to win, absolutely. I'll need to remember how to play quickly on chess.com. It's been a long time since I last played competitively on chess.com, and it will be a long time before I do it again. F5 is probably best, E4 or something. Yeah, we have 3 seconds now. Yeah, I'm getting sloppy. Maybe it would be better if I did the speedrun with 3+2, but it was titled something, starting opening repertoire, I think. Well, it's probably starting is, the repertoire is just, I think, especially good for beginner and intermediate players because it's very easy to learn. Way easier than other lifetime repertoires. And you have something complete against any move from white on move 1. And but it can also be used by stronger players. If I used it myself successfully and I'm a grandmaster, then it can be used by anyone, absolutely. Will I play Granke? Yeah, I will play the Chess 960 Open in Granke, which is scheduled in April. I really enjoyed Chess 960, no memorization, no preparation, just creativity, as it was a long time ago, with chess itself. And I really support Magnus Carlsen and the promotion of Chess 960. Explosive chess opening repertoire for black. Okay, I'll try to search for it. Faster, luckily you still made it. Yeah, I'll try not to care too much about the result. What's the win counter, by the way? Has anyone checked? Is it 52 or 53? I think it's 53, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the last thing which matters. Anyway, out of the opening we again had a great position. And I think we learned something new against this setup when they start pushing. Okay, let's go again. The fiddler is here. And still they're going for this early d5. At some point they're going to stop doing that. And that's when it will be harder. Now we have a great center control and white's space advantage is already gone. So we're happy. Still, it's a long way from a finished game, but... Okay, knight g4 is now tempting. I want to get rid of the bishop pair from my opponent. Take this. And now, considering my opponent put his king here, I'm just gonna bring all the pieces to the right squares and start attacking. Queen a5, rook b8 are my next two moves almost against anything. This I'm not worried about. I'll give up the bishop pair and switch to the attack here. This queen is awkwardly placed for me because it defends c3 quite nicely, so I can take a3 now, no? Or rook b2. Rook b2 is fancy, but there will be knight b3 later on. Okay, let's just take. If knight b3, I'll retreat. No nonsense. We took a pawn and now we'll launch. Very often when you're attacking, you don't need to rush. You can just start attacking. Bishop b3 was not possible because of ba3, by the way. I can take this if I want to. I'm just gonna go knight c5, but put one more piece into play. Yeah, I can check the count today. I will do that, but it's less important. Looking forward to 960 games. We'll fight. Let's exploit the pin. Yeah, it's good to get creativity back to chess, absolutely. That's the whole point. That's what I signed up for 20 years ago when I learned the game. That's what I signed up for, not memorization, but creativity. Let's attack. Yeah, Paul would be strong in chess 960, surely. Take. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, this was quick and efficient. As soon as they do something like this, you're like they gave the e6 square, they gave the space advantage, they improved your center, the knight is restricted. Everything's going black's way if they play like this. We have already had several examples here. Okay, I'll try to keep updating the number of wins. I always forget that. This, as I have said several times already, has not been covered in the course, but that's really because it makes absolutely no sense. Yeah, now we can basically do whatever you want. Bishop g5 or d4. Or both. Maybe let's try. Not sure if I want to allow e4 though. d4, e4, d5, and g6. Ah, there's no need for this. Let's just finish the development. b3 is absolutely not the only move, but why not to reinforce this? Yeah, after d5, I mean, I've developed a lot of pieces, my opponent only developed a queen. That should be good. You like the balloons wallpaper? Yeah. When I was very young, this was my child's room, and it has never changed the balloons background. We have never changed it, so it stayed. For many years it stayed like this. So my opponent wants to go h4. Let's go h3. Because then g4 we take, and h4 we go g4. Let's go g4. That way we block this side of the board, and we'll try to go through the center. So the position is not so clean, and the game is very creative. Has a new structure. I still like my position quite a lot. Bishop c5, logical. Let's go a4. I want to provoke my opponent to either go b4, where I'll get in knight e4 and c5, or to take something where I'll open the b file for my pieces. a5 or c5? Probably neither, because this also threatens knight d6. I'll leave the bishop here, and then go knight d6 next move if allowed. One criticism of the recent chess 960 push is that it would be bad for educational chess industry like Chessable. Yeah, that's true. What do I think about that? It's very true, but like classical chess won't die. Classical chess or over the board chess will not die. Classical will be harder and harder to play for anyone. How do I want to go here? Knight d2 maybe. Open the bishop. But there will be more and more rapid and blitz, less and less classical, but chess will not die. Chess will just be faster, in my opinion. So it's not like it will hurt Chessable and anyone and put them out of business. No. But maybe it will make their job a bit harder. Yes, that's where I agree. I don't want to allow anything to come to c5 or to f4. That's what my last two moves served to. Seeing balloons is another term for a chess hallucination. Seeing an imaginary threat. Yeah, I've heard seeing ghosts, but seeing balloons I have not heard. Okay, my opponent has no threat yet, so I can castle and then go d4. Takes is fine for me. Just bring the other knight. Then we'll push d4, open things up, and hopefully checkmate this king soon. Yeah, I've heard of hallucinations and seeing ghosts, but I have not heard of seeing balloons. That's a new expression for me. Knight b4, that's a good move. Let's just take... I guess go c5 to solidify the knight. I gave up the square, but don't think it matters too much. My opponent's pieces are not that well placed. I also allowed bishop a6. Maybe I should not have allowed that one, but still fine. Let's go here. Knight c3, I'll go queen d4. And here, like originally I wanted to take, but maybe it's not so good. Let's go queen d2. I need to speed up as well. One of these games I'm going to lose on time, and then I'm gonna actually speed up in every next game. That's what's gonna happen sooner or later. Yeah, here. Let's get rid of the knight. Without the knight and d5, I guess d7 will be way weaker. I know that he can take here, but there is bishop c6. Here, I guess we'll take queen b4 first. Queen b6 or queen b8 is a threat. So here, take the rook. We just need to be careful. I blundered yesterday once on f2 already. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. I'll get back to the chat as soon as the game is over. Let's go here. And yeah. Okay. So yeah, the queen f6 and all of this stuff is not covered in the course, but you always have a great position against this because the queen comes under tempi and it's white neglect. The opponent neglects development of minor pieces. Ah, there was a Cuban player who used that expression. I didn't know that. Who was the player? Wasn't Capablanca, right? Okay, let's go d3. We continue on our way. They've tried this several times already, but when, like, after all of this, you have the center and the better development. So now I have a I have kind of a semi-tarrasch with 1 or 2 tempi up. Why would white want to go? Why would black want to go for this? Especially after knight c6. After knight c6, okay. They want to go e5, so I'm not gonna let that. e5 d5 would force some concessions from me, so I'm just gonna stop all of this at the start. I'll just castle h4 was also good, but let's just keep it more classical in this game. Take here, go bishop g5, rook e1. Opponents have neglected their developments quite a lot today. Knight h4 takes, bishop g6 takes. I don't want to give 3 pieces for the queen, so let's just go back. I'm sure sacks are also good, but there's nothing wrong with this either. If we just go here, take, the rook is hanging now. Okay, let's take g4. After bishop e5 I will not recapture, I'll go here. Wasn't anyone famous. I think it would be a nice challenge, though not easy of course, to make a chess 960 course for general audience. Yeah, I actually thought about this because there are some general ideas. Which you can use depending on the starting position. It has occurred to me as well, but maybe I'll talk to Chessable about this. Actually, let's bring the other rook into play. And yeah, this was quite an easy game. Yeah, strong player, but not titled. Okay, good night and thanks for dropping by. Hope you enjoyed. And of course, you can check out my YouTube, where all of these streams will be uploaded, so you'll be able to follow the whole speedrun from start to finish on my YouTube channel if you have missed a chapter. Additionally, when it's over and I finally reach 3000, I'll make some videos containing highlights of the whole speedrun, but one step at a time. For now, we are only at 1300 or so. Yeah, have a good one, Geezer. And we are off with more d6. Let's see. Do we still get d5s or not? We do. Okay. We have learned something from this speedrun. Well, I have never seen d5 by stronger players. Beginner or intermediate players I'm facing are playing it very often. So you will have some. If you're facing them, you'll be able to see how to deal against this. This is something that has not been thoroughly suggested in the course because it's not dangerous. It has been mentioned, of course, but not like thoroughly analyzed. But now you'll have examples because of this speedrun on how to fight it. Okay, I think now I can use the tactic with knight e4, and as after knight e4 there is queen a2 and queen a1, and the queen is hanging. So yeah, this is the second time today they're using this setup, and it's the second time it ends like this. This is absolutely not critical. This is absolutely not critical. Yeah, the YouTube command is there. I've uploaded in the morning the second part of the speedrun. This I'll upload today, or maybe tomorrow. Maybe it will be one video per day on YouTube. Hello to Reckless Motorcycle. I'm fine. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to the channel. We are here doing a speedrun using 1d6 or 1d3, following the lines and structures from the Chessable course, which I have published, co-authored by GM Parlegas. Hello, Merlin God 1. Yes, I'm a Grandmaster, indeed, with rating 2569, I think. Beginner or intermediate, don't really know about overextension. Yeah, I can see what you mean. Knight e5 I will take. Queen g5 I will also take. What's going on today? This speedrun is actually going to be very speedy if this continues. 1d3 strikes again. Buy the course and you can win in 5 moves. You did a bishop and a knight checkmate? That's nice. You can practice those things. It's always good to know them. They happen to me. Sometimes, rarely, but sometimes. Yeah, if they go for this without the knight on f3, usually it's good to take, because then you can go knight c6 and gain one more tempo to attack the queen. Yeah, and now we have the bishop pair, and we'll follow up with bishop e7 is good, but I want to put the bishop on the long diagonal. Bishop g5, I'll also go bishop g7. I think the bishop on the long diagonal will be quite useful in the future. Also, it ties the queen quite nicely. Let's go h6 to see whether my opponent will give up the bishop or retreat it. Retreating is probably better. Then I'll castle and threaten g5 followed by knight e4. What elo am I on right now in speedrun? I think it was 1288. I'm using focus mode, so I don't see it right now. Okay, so as you have said, the opponents here are not that sure of overextension yet, and this move is not supposed to be good, because now we can go knight d7 and pin this pawn, and the threat is bishop takes f3, which I could have also played immediately, followed by d5, but I like this better. And now we'll take this and take on e5 next move, and white cannot really move it. This move I have also seen, but now I can take d takes c5, and I think it's even worse for my opponent, because after knight e5 I will take knight e5, or like this, and now I will win a piece, because, yeah, I will include a check. I didn't even have to include, I could have taken the queen. But yeah, I have the two bishops in the end, and he only has one knight, so tactically it was working out perfectly for me. That's hard for you because you're 949 peak and 830 now. Yeah, but you need practice. I also started like that, and after 15 years of hard work, I got to the GM title. You can do that as well, but trust me, it's not gonna be easy. Yeah, 1298 elo. Thanks for checking that out. SHXHXNM. And welcome to the stream. What about e5? e5, yeah, but the course which I published is about 1d6, and it's more about playing rare sidelines, playing for a win, and avoiding memorization and theoretical lines. It's worked perfectly for me in classical over the board chess. So I decided to suggest it and to make a speedrun here. This is the authorized speedrun account by chess.com, so it's not, they know what's going on here, and the players, they all get refunded their points if I beat them. And now let's convert this by exchanging the pieces. Yeah, the two bishops checkmate is also, it's a bit easier than bishop and knight, but also it needs some practice. You wouldn't, 5 minutes, perhaps little increment would be better? Yeah, I would have more time to explain and expand upon the lines and course, true, but for now, most of the lines which are here are not critical, and my opponents just go away from the course in like several, after 2 or 3 moves. But when we get to higher ratings, then I will analyze every single game and mention what has been suggested in the course. But the speedrun will remain 3 minutes, and I think my co-author of the course, GM Paglagas, will make his own speedrun. Currently he's at the Romanian Championship, but when I finish my own speedrun, I think he will do one of his own, and he will use it with higher time control. Everyone start okay at 1500 euro elo, yes, but this was the account was modified by chess.com and brought back to 800 elo, so because of the speedrun purposes. Bishop is more powerful than a knight. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, depends on the position. If it's a closed position, then knight is better. e5 in the start of this game, you meant? Yeah, we're suggesting the fiddler setup. We're suggesting the fiddler setup in the course. Focus on other things, not the end of the game if you want to improve. Start with openings and tactics. The GM title is not here because this is the speedrun account. It's not only my account. No, I was not 1500 elo when I was born. Okay, let's get back to the course. As we have said, against these setups, we used the King's Indian setup, and the double fianchetto is what we usually do. Double fianchetto, and then follow up with e4, threatening e5 also. Why are my opponents giving up the pieces so easily? They spent 10 moves and gave a piece. Not 10 moves, 10 seconds. And gave a piece. Okay, let's take the bishop pair. This can happen if they don't know what they're doing. These setups, as we have said, they're absolutely not critical. Black is very passive, and you can continue in your own King's Indian style with the same plan we have seen many times during this speedrun. But this was probably the most effective one. This is 60 now, right? Number of wins, I think. If I miscounted, you'll forgive me. That's not so important anyway. After d4, d6, you play knight f6 and play some King's Indian. Or if they go d4, d6, c4, you go e5 and play the so-called English rat defense, as we have seen in the game, in the games on this speedrun already. Let's go bishop g4. e6, now we're a healthy pawn up. Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to speak about the lines in the course. Okay, the course is followed until here. Then knight c3 is good, or d3. But when they give up a pawn, how am I supposed to? This is not mentioned in the course because it's already almost lost for the opponent. So yeah, now we fork. $900 elo are tough guys. Sometimes. Yeah, this was like. We take the queen next move, so the opponent resigned. The things are going very, very our way today. Lots of quick wins. You should have started at 1500. This was on chess.com, not on me. It's their they had to authorize the account, and they said they did this, not me. But this will also provide the viewers the whole range. We can use this setup, the whole range of a position from 800 until 3000. 3000 will be the final destination of the speedrun, and you will see how people react against the lines in the course, against how people react if they're beginner, intermediate, or GM or master level. You'll see how all of them react differently to the lines in the course, and you will see examples of how I've used it successfully against all of them. Game abandoned. Fair enough. The last couple of games were very, very strange. Yeah, exactly. That's possible. Also, you can check out, there's the YouTube command, which will lead you to my YouTube, where first two parts are already published. They still go for this d5 really a lot. Okay, knight d7 is good, cd is also good, bishop e7 is good, but yeah. Now, even though this is a bit different, as my knight is not on b8 yet, so I cannot go bishop e6. Everything I have done stays the same. I still want to take the bishop pair, and the center is still very, 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 very good for us and strong. The knight comes to c5. We will try to play on the dark squares. What's the way? My opponent will play b3. Oh, let's just think about the most efficient way to fight against this. Okay, maybe let's go a5, a4, and then queen a5. Maybe sees a bit more space. Sees a bit more space here. This one I can take, but that taking would open up the file in front of my king, so that's why I'm just gonna go for the quick attack, same as I have done twice before against this setup today. Bishop e6, rook fb8, and just all the pieces will attack my opponent's king. Is 5 bad, man? What do you mean? What's 5? At what elo do you recommend to start learning openings? I like as soon as possible, because you need some way of getting out of the opening with a familiar position and setup. For example, this is why this course is so good for intermediate and beginner players. Okay, where is the mate? Bishop b3, rook a2, everything is good. Knight b3. What's the most precise one? Yeah, I'll just be greedy. There is no rush. I'll take bishop b3. Maybe knight b3, ab. Rook a1 was better, but then there was king b2, queen b3, king a1. Yeah, there was some checkmate there surely, but this is absolutely good enough. Sometimes you can just take material instead of giving mate and the opponent will resign. Yeah, we have seen several times that this system does not work for white. This has been proven quite nicely, I think. You play d1 opening e4, knight f3. Yeah, that's what most people do at beginner levels. You don't pour hours on your chess to play someone else's lines. That's right. That's why we use this, and there is nothing they can do to surprise us. When we do this, we'll play our own lines, not someone else's. It depends where you put the bishop. It is the Italian game if you put it on c4. Okay, you see the mirror image of what we had several games before. This knight c3 gaining a tempo. Now we will castle, and we have a much better development. We have already castle developed some pieces, and everything our opponent did was to develop his queen. Okay, so the move I like here is bishop a3. Why? Because it restricts black from castling, and we can try to open up the position while the opponent's king is still in the center, and that can be a crucial factor in winning games. The last move I played could be like discussed. It could be discussed. I'm not sure if it was the best, but I was worried about e4. c5. Yeah, there should be several good options here. First one is, of course, to take with something, but then our opponent will castle, and somehow I want to take here. After castle goes c6. That's the materialistic approach in me, to take the exchange. But okay, I will not listen to the materialistic approach. I will just take this. Yeah, that's the Italian game. Let's go bishop c4, attack the queen, and put more pressure on this side of the board. Rook e1. You see how all pieces get into play? They're all active, while half of their pieces are not active. So now we'll take here and take on f8 next. After knight d7, I'll probably play bishop b5. It's not the only move, but it's a good one. Otherwise, we'll take the exchange here. Yeah, first let's take this one, f takes, then we will take the rook. And now we are up a clean exchange. Now we are up a clean exchange and several pawns. Now knight f4 is a bit of a problem, because then g2 will hang, and also c3 is hanging, so we'll have to part ways with one pawn on c3, but we will stop all of black's counterplay in return, and the material advantage will secure us the victory in the endgame. You don't have to win the game immediately. You can win it in an endgame. It's only important that you win it. Is this in the course? Takes rook e1? No, like okay, let's put the queen here to pin the knight and also pose a discovered check. I mean, the course, like what was covered in the course, was not this, because here they spent. Okay, first the course is for black. With white, it's just an improved version. You do the same things, but you do them with a tempo up, so you have the improved version. That's why I'm playing 1d3. And when you learn it for black, then you use it with black, and then you can use it with white too. Then you can use it with white too, just with a tempo up. But here, when they play first d6 and then d5, then like you already have a much better position. So you have already achieved everything you want. It's absolutely not critical. Yeah, I think it works really nice for 1500 players. Like you see how it works against 1300s. What's the win counter, by the way? Is it 64 or 65? Doesn't matter. Nobody's watching. Nobody takes notice of that anyway. I think it's very useful. As like 1500 or 1300 level to buy the course and to play it. Of course, you can, if you don't like it, Chessable has the refund option, where you can get all the money back in case you don't like it, but I'm pretty sure you'll like it. Okay, so here, as we have said several times before, if they take this, what they did here, if they take like this, it's always a very nice and comfortable position, because if they play some knight f6, the bishop stays here. If they take, the bishop can immediately go out, and position is very good. So yeah, what I should be careful about is not to play knight c4, which looks nice, because then after queen d1, king d1, f6, this knight would hang, I would have to move it, and the other knight would drop. So alternatively, I can go here, but then there is queen b4. I'm also not a big fan of that, so I'll just retreat this knight to d3, and castle, continue slowly to develop the pieces. g6, I like that move from my opponent. It puts the bishop on the long diagonal. It stops me from going b3. Doesn't really stop me, I can still do it. But okay, let's go knight f3. I want bishop f4 with a tempo to attack the queen. Maybe I'll then go knight c5 now. Or bishop e5 first. Let's go bishop e5 first. If I can trade off this strong bishop, that should be beneficial for me. Take like this, and then go knight c5. Now I force the queen trade, or then I get even more development lead, if not the queen trade. So yeah, of course I was a pawn up very early in the game, and everything is easy starting from that, but still some work is required. Let's see, 96. Sometimes I do a little mistake. It depends. Yeah, it's still the Italian game if you can do that. It's just a variation. You can do both. It will be fine. So 96 check. King somewhere. Can I go knight d8? Looks weird. It's probably working though. But okay, I'll just keep it simple. I don't think there is any need for that. I will just take this. Oh, I need to put my laptop to charging. Forgot to do that. Okay. You made a mistake 2 years ago. You bought goddamn chess courses. They didn't help you? I don't know about the Gotham chess courses, so like I never studied them. I don't know what was suggested, and I don't know if they're good or not, so hard for me to make a comment on that. Okay, see you, Zoraka, see you. Have a great day too. The speedrun will be on YouTube. I don't know why my opponent is thinking for so long, but of course both captures lead me to completely winning positions strategically, so all is good. Thank you, smart guy. I'll have a good stream. It's always a good stream. Ah, he has left the course platform, made a new subscription platform. You don't buy new courses because you didn't study those ones. Then, yeah, I mean, if you want, you can buy our own course. We answer all the users questions and as soon as we can. If you'd like more support from a title player, that's beneficial. But also, if you already have those courses, you don't need to buy new ones. You can just study those. Keep up the wins. You're almost to 6. Yeah. Okay, we have already played against this stuff several times. And we always use the same plan. So e5. This was very, very efficient today. So if they go d5, I will go a5 to stop b4. Now, after b4, I would take on a1. And as we have already said several times, when you can push the pawn like this to block these two pawns, that's very, very good, because now there will be no more b pawn to kick our c5 knight away. All of the ideas have been seen before in the speedrun. Now I'll play bishop f5, hit the queen once more, queen c3. Like, I feel there is something even stronger, but I don't see it. Okay, let's go just knight d7 then. Play f5 on d4 in the future. e4, knight d4 is annoying, but I will prepare this in a different way then. I'll bring the knight to b6 and to a4. And I'm very curious if I can trap this queen. I probably can't, unfortunately. I can still try. I'll bring the rook here. It can still go to a5, but even if it's not trapped, it's at least far away from the center and from controlling things on the board. And you see how it's useful when there's no b pawn, when it has been exchanged for our a pawn. Then all of the knights are safe, and yeah, you can build up from there. What till am I on my account? We have climbed to 1344. An easy opening to learn without no theory? No, not really. We have to know something. I have to know at least something. Okay, I really cannot chop the queen. That's a bit annoying. Okay, let's go bishop c2 then. Yeah, no way to trap the queen. Okay, then let's just start pushing the pawns down the board. f5, f4. The queen is very far away, and it's very hard for white to make any developing or any kind of move, because his pieces are very paralyzed. Let's go for f4. Now it's time to attack the king, I think. Yeah, I have played against Magnus Carlsen. There are some games on YouTube. Now I think it's time for e4, because my opponent weakened his king a lot. And now, even though I will allow knight d4, I will go queen h4. Or this one I will absolutely take. I can take the rook as well. But let's just threaten all kinds of things first. And you see how nice it is when the queen is so out of play. Even though it's not trapped, it's so out of play that it's maybe even worse. We'll take the bishop now as well. My opponent was quite decent, but now they blundered. Yeah, they'll get more and more decent. The higher we go, we get up with the rating. Let's do this cross checkmate. I don't know how it's called, but I know it works, and that's the most important thing. Yeah, this was a nice game, I think. Let's go 66 wins. We have seen, we have seen several times already how this is very efficient. This King's Indian setup, if they do some passivity thing. At lower levels, they will do this. No, not the bot, the real Magnus Carlsen. Yes. Crisscross applesauce checkmate. Highly unlikely, but it's a good pun. Maybe they should rename it to that. Hello to Chess Lions, welcome to the stream. Very often they just do this and then I take the pawn. Yeah. Considering there are more viewers, I think it's time to promote the course and use the Chessable command again. Our brand new and fresh Chessable course is out. Myself and co-author GM Mircea Pardugas, the Romanian champion, have written a new course, and you can check it out. You can check it out on Chessable. The purpose of this speedrun is to promote the course and the lines in it, playing 1d6 with black, also 1d3 using the same systems with white. And yeah, to reach from 800 to 3000 on this official speedrun account on chess.com. This is the third part. The first two parts are already on my YouTube. You can check them out there in case you've missed them. And yeah, I hope you'll buy the course and enjoy the lines. I have used them very successfully myself. Why wouldn't you use them successfully as well in your chess adventures? Let's develop the queen. Don't worry, I'm not blundering a pawn. I'm posing a trick, and here I plan to take, but maybe taking is not too good. So let's take here first. Now it should be better to take in b7 as well. You can go e3 as well. E3. Knight c4 is also good. Let's go knight c4 first, actually. And then either e3 or this move is actually what my original plan or main plan was, because I want knight f7. And the rook hanging is only an addition. Let's go knight f7, take the exchange. If you reach 2000 dealer, you will buy my course. If you'd like, we'll take the bishop as well. And my opponent resigns here. Nice Italian game course. Yeah. You could also be good for you if you're an e4 player. But I think the course can be used very, very nicely, even if you're 1200 or 1500. Yeah, against the London system, this is probably one of the main points of the course, because you get very, very early on d6 and e5, and you try to fight against this bishop. It's usually supposed to be strong, but here it's quite restricted when we play the lines in the course. So now we'll put the bishop here. Continue the development, like queen e7. I'm not sure about allowing knight c4, but how bad can it actually be? Let's bring all of our pieces into play. Rook d8, and then maybe it will finally be time. Maybe now it's finally time. Like, you have to be very careful when making pawn moves like e4, because they give up squares, knight d4 and so on. But it also gives me some additional squares. But okay, I'll go knight c5 first. Everything is protected for now, and then maybe I'll be able to go here immediately. b4 I did see, but now when I go knight d4, there is a weakness. There is a weakness here, and I'll be able to recapture with the knight. So it looks quite nice. Bishop h4, I can just go g5 or f6. Don't think that's a problem. I prefer g5, but g5, knight g5, knight g5, f4, ef, ef, queen e4, queen g3. Huh. Okay, no need for those tactics. Can just play positionally. Bishop d3. I think now we can exploit this in a tactical fashion. We go g5. Now if they take here, then we take the bishop pair and the light squares will be very weak, and bishop g3 I plan to take and then fork. Ah, but it didn't say bishop c4 check. Okay, that's a mistake on my part. Those have happened before and will happen again, but it was not part of the plan to allow the knight. Now my bishop is blocked. Okay, I messed up. And to be careful about knight e6 now as well. It's one of the first games I have not played well. Now I'll have to defend passively, which is always an ugly thing to do, and I'll have to speed up. Everything was very nice until I played this this knight g3 and d4. I should have played anything else, because strategically what happened, I gave my strong knight for this bishop which is completely restricted. I thought it works tactically, but it didn't. Playing blitz is a bad idea for 1500. It's good. It's a good idea, but you should do it to practice new openings. So learn an opening and then play blitz games in it. That's the right approach. Yeah, there's always the London, no matter what you do. But here, when you go for the early e5, they don't like this. It's quite uncomfortable for them. Yeah, I don't like where this has gone. I'll try to go f5 for that reason. Knight e6, rook e8. My opponent's playing pretty well. Strategically, it was not such a good game on his part before, but after I blundered, he made no mistakes. Oh, okay. Fortunately, it's not about winning or losing. I'll try not to lose still, of course. Why would I try to lose? But even if it happens, it doesn't matter. We still had a great position out of the opening. Suspiciously well? I don't know. Usually you'll encounter some people who play perfectly on chess.com. That's why I stopped playing competitively there some time ago. But of course, nothing wrong with playing competitively. Disconnected, will auto resign. Yeah, I don't know. But it was not suspiciously well. It's like the position was amazingly good for me. Here, like strategically completely outplayed. I completely outplayed my opponent. The bishop is just like I should just play king h8 first to get rid of this. Now this is a threat, and sooner or later they will have to go for this one, and then you have the bishop pair, amazing position, and the potential of going f5, f4. If this happened, it would be very easy. But yeah, against the London, this is very efficient. This is very efficient when you play 1d6. You like my mentality of not letting mistakes and losses bother me and don't tilt easily that way? Perhaps, but I I needed like 10 years to learn this. Chess is very competitive and most players have problems with this, myself included. I had for many years problems with it, but now it's different. Okay, this is very good. Now we get the reversed King's Indian setup. How do we do this? Let's castle. Let's go for the bishop g5 line. Now, considering that we castled already, I cannot mirror the line which we have suggested in the course, because in that line we do not castle. But I will play something very similar. Now let's go for e4. Yeah, d4. How do they play this usually? a4, knight a3, right? And then later on we'll put one of the knights on c4. Why to include a4? Because when the knight comes to c4, the b5 break will be way harder for them to achieve. That's why. Now we develop like this, and we go in the King's Indian style. Okay, now I think I should go knight c4. And you will see the point. If they go b5, I want to go a5 to use the strategic idea we have seen several times already today. But if they go b5, I think I can make it work tactically by taking ab, or first bishop f6. Let's say bishop f6 first. Bishop f6, ab, rook a8, queen a8, and now we can bring the knight here in a tactical way. This is also a typical idea in the King's Indians, and now the knight is going to be extremely strong. White will have to either tolerate it, where it will control a lot of squares, or give up his strongest bishop against it. Yeah, now they want to maybe take this pawn. d6 is a move, but I think knight e4 is stronger, because it attacks both the bishop and the pawn, and if they defend it with bishop e7, now I can attack the bishop with d6. If they retreat it, there is knight f6 with a fork. This is a very nice game, I think, in learning perspectives, because it gave really a lot of instructive King's Indian playing ideas. Okay, queen d7. My opponent spotted the threat and decided to part ways with the bishop and not the queen. Now we'll play c3 so that we can activate the queen in a better way, and also to chase the knights away. Yeah. Did they update the last win on the counter? I don't think I have. I think it's 68. I'll check it out after this game. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's go queen b3, attack the knight and the pawn. This could have been a mouse slip. Yeah, it was a mouse slip, but the position was already lost. Yeah, this game was quite instructive. Now let me check this wins counter. What's the official number of games? 105. Yeah, it's 69, because there are 36 which I needed to play before the speedrun account was made a speedrun account by chess.com. I don't know why, but anyway, 69 is the correct number. No pun intended. Very often they go for this and they just give up a pawn for no reason, and they play really quickly. I have no idea why they would do that. Maybe bishop f4 now. If they go queen b4 check, I wanted knight d2, queen b2, rook b1 to immediately attack here. I want to open things up and try to exploit my opponent's lack of development, but it's okay. Let's go knight d2 and then c4, I guess. Need to be a bit careful with this bishop. Maybe let's put the knight here so that it has some squares to go to. On f3 it would be more natural, but here it can also be very good, I think. Let's castle. Okay, nothing new in the chat. The opponent wants to attack. Not sure if I should touch this or not. Honestly, I'll touch this because now g5 will be very hard to get, I think. They'll have to go some knight h7, and while they do that, they will put their pieces away from the center, and they should get some nice counterplay with c4, queen a4, those moves. Yeah, this bishop is bad, but it defends the king nicely, so if I can exchange it, I won't exchange it yet, but if I can do it later on, it could be very helpful in the attack. In d4, that's surely a bad move, because now it activates my other bishop. And after queen a4, I think some very bad things will happen to my opponent. To knight c6. Now we got even this pawn. And we can follow up with b4, c5. There is not much they can do. I am pinned, so I cannot move the knight just yet, except to a7. I can take that, of course. But they cannot chase this knight, no matter what they do. Okay, knight g4 looks nice, but it doesn't threaten anything. So we can just continue with the plan, I think, of attacking. What's up with the chat, by the way? I hope you're enjoying the speedrun. Don't see new messages. Let's go c5. Trap the bishop. Okay, knight e5. Now the threat is to take, but now I will spend this bishop to get rid of the knight, and then I will take this one. My king stayed completely safe, and we have successfully attacked the opponent's king. Let's take this, and now when you use pawns to open the files in front of the opponent's king, then you usually bring rooks to them, and you launch a massive attack. That's how this game is going as well. Now there are many ways to win the queen. Knight e7 is good enough. So let's give a check, and then I can even pre-move this. Give a check here. And just start exchanging pieces to make my job easier. Whenever you're material up, you exchange pieces. Where's the mate? I don't see it. There probably is somewhere, but I just don't see it, so you don't have to be surgically precise. You can sometimes just take everything and then win like that. Yeah, I don't know, like up until here the opponents have very often they were very often doing something which gave me a large advantage very quickly. But that will change, and the more challenging lines will come the further we progress with the rating. Where are we at? 1384. Hello, Shellingford. You know that I'm a morning person, and I will always prefer doing everything in the morning than in the night. Okay, we set against this how we play. d6, f5, e5, castle, and start attacking. Not blunder this, which I almost did. And considering they have not played c4, I think we can go d5. Usually they play with c4 and knight c3, and then you cannot go d5. But now when I can, why not? Now again we're facing some hippo. How to attack against it. What's the usual plan here, and often suggested in the course, is to bring the queen to h5. I will do that here as well. How bad can that be? At least my opponent now has to think about the queen in front of his king. But now we need some breakthrough. That should usually be with f4. So what can we improve? We can improve this bishop. My opponent should play f4 maybe. No, he cannot go f4 because he put the king on h2. There was no need for this. So let's improve this bishop and try to organize f4. Can we do it now? No, because the knight will take it. And then I'll have to exchange the queens. Okay, so first we'll retreat the queen that it's not eyed by the opponent's queen. Okay, c4. And now I think it's time to start attacking f4. Takes, knight t4. Take and bishop g4. It looks good. This is how we're going to try to crush the hippo. Hello to Daraldi. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, we're at 70 wins. We are, yeah, there will be way more needed to reach 3000. Okay, there is nothing direct here, so I will just take. This is a target. Now, okay, for start I'll just bring my last inactive piece into play with rook e8. Yeah, the YouTube command works. All of the streams here, if in case you miss a part of the speedrun, check it out on my YouTube. First two parts are already up there. Knight f3. Bishop h3 does not work, this is defended. So maybe it's time for the greedy approach. Is there a threat? Bishop c1. No, it's time for the greedy approach. I'll just take a pawn. Bishop c1 would just go away somewhere with the queen. And now it's not even that much about taking a pawn. It's more about gaining the d5 square for my pieces. Because when the bishop comes there, I think it will be very uncomfortable for my opponent to defend. The c4 pawn was controlling that square. It was not available to me before I got rid of that pawn. Okay, queen c1. Considering I'm on the offensive, I want to keep the queens on the board if possible. And keep the attacks. Keep the attack going. I'll have to speed up a bit, but... Mr. Random, okay, just a second. I will come back to the chat quickly. Let's go here. Knight d4, now I don't have queen h3, but I have bishop g2 and then queen f2. And other alternatively, I just want to take here if allowed. I just need to be careful not to blunder mate. That's all. And another threat could be bishop takes f3 followed by queen h3. Or bishop f3, which is probably even stronger, followed by rook b2. And this is the one I'm going to do to exploit the overloading of the queen. And now I will have two pieces for a rook, and also the king is quite weak. I'll put one knight on t5, the other one... okay, actually let's just trade the queens off. My opponent is probably counting on the flagging time, but I don't think it will be too much of a problem to win this. Maybe it will be, who knows. We'll see. While I'm not an active chess.com player anymore, I think I still remember how to play quickly. That was a bad move. I could have gone rook b1. I have definitely not played this in the best possible way, but it should still be absolutely winning. And now we need to bring the other knight to attack the rook and then promote the pawn. I'll get back to the chat in a moment. While I don't care about the results, I still will try to win. Yeah, I think the game showed quite nicely how to deal with such setups, like the hippo or the passive c4, where you just try to steamroll on the king side. What's going on here? Does it always take too long to climb on chess.com and chess? You can get to 2600 in like 8 games. You can do something similar on chess.com, but this is the official speedrun account. As you can see, when I click on it, it's authorized by chess.com and they put it on 800. Besides, the whole point of the speedrun is so that people can see how different players' strengths, like how 800s deal with d3 and d6, how do 2500s deal with it, how do 1700s deal with it. With a speedrun, we'll cross all of these levels and find out. So that's the learning purpose of this. Mr. Random, yeah, welcome to the stream. You would love to see it on YouTube. You already can see the first 2 parts with d6 and d3. People would become a fan of you now. Yeah, I'm not here to be famous. Remember that. Nah, they maybe know because it says authorized speedrun account, and I have the picture of the course lifetime repertoires here. Yeah, it doesn't show up. I closed my account a year ago. This was my account on chess.com. This used to be me. It's not here, but if you go to some tournament, you'll probably find it. This was me. But I closed my account a long time ago. Yeah, I'm glad that you're enjoying the stream. I really appreciate the nice words. I hope you'll check out the course and that the lines are going to be as useful to you as they were to me. The speedrun, we're ending at 3000. I was there. I was there when I played on chess.com, so I'm pretty sure we can do it again. Why did I close it? It was bringing way more bad emotions than good ones, playing competitively on chess.com. And then one day I just decided to end it and focus on over the board and on writing the chessable and on coaching. You cannot add me because the account is closed. I don't have access to it anymore. Yeah, 2500 to 3000 will be fun, but first we'll get there. We need to get there. Anyway, the goal for today, I'm not sure. I've been doing 200 points by 200 points, the first 2 parts. So maybe I'll end it after this game with, if I win it, with 1400, and maybe I'll prolong it a bit more because there are a bit more viewers today. So it's also a possibility, maybe till 15 or 1600. Yeah, here, if they play some passive setups like this, as we said, it's good to go c4 and take more space if they don't go for d5. Knight d4. I've actually played something very similar to this over the board in the Rilton Cup in Sweden against the young I.M. Olsen, where he also played knight d4 and went into this structure. But this structure has a lot of potential for white because of the possibility of pushing the pawns. This is a blunder because it traps the bishop. Why do some people don't improve on chess? Either because they don't work in a good way or because they simply don't have time to improve in a good way. So now, considering the position is closed and I have the one bishop up, I'll play the move e5, sacrificing a pawn temporarily, but I'll get the long diagonal for the bishop and the e4 square for the knight. it seems to me that this is more than enough to compensate for the missing pawn, and my opponent does not even take it, so it's even better. I'm not afraid of this because my bishop will always cover it, and my plan stays the same. Knight e3, okay, he can do this, then d3 will be weak, but I'm a piece up, and every exchange will help me. Let's put the bishop here. Help me convert easier. Now the king can also be in some problems, potentially, if I can, for example, bring the queen there. They want maybe g5 or something. What's the best reaction to this? Maybe just queen b3. Ignore it because bishop e5 will come, and knight e3. I can let the knight live here, it doesn't matter. It cannot cause that much damage, right? Bishop g7, there is knight c5, which is very, very unpleasant. The queen is hanging, the bishop b7 checkmate threat is looming, and this is very, very bad. To this account, I'm not sure if you can add as a friend, because I'm not sure if it's in the settings, but you can try. You saw queen exchange line against d4? You mean the Philidor endgame? In the course? Do you recommend playing this with white and black for the over-the-board repertoire? It's mainly for black, because with white you can play more ambitiously, but even with white, if you want to get a fighting position early on without memorization, with familiar structures, absolutely, do it with white. I did it several times with white. I played one d3, I played one knight f3, two d3, even against GMs. I had good results, so why not to use it there as well? The word has spread, yeah, there were more viewers today. True, truth telling. You want to be... okay. I accepted the friend request. You can freely send it, but this is only a speedrun account, and when we reach 3000, it will not be used probably anymore. But you can of course add me as a friend. The future is not disabled. Reckless Motorcycle tried it, and I accepted. Okay, so officially we crossed 1400. The goal for today was 1200 to 1400, but I can keep on playing. If you guys want more, I'll prolong the stream. I'll try to reach 15 or 1600 today, but I need the feedback from the chat. Hello, King Shield. Now with 1d6 course available, everybody will improve in chess. Yeah, it's a time saver for improvers. It really is. And thanks for the nice words and for visiting the stream. Use the chessable command. Use the chessable command to gain access to it. Yeah, the endgame line. So yeah, against the Philidor, there is no alternative to the endgame line, but you have no problems in the endgame line. Well, it's true, it's dry, and you can say boring, but positionally, personally, I've played it several times, and following the lines from the course, not only that I didn't have problems, but I also had the upper hand. For example, on the European Rapid, I played it against the 2350 opponent, or 2400, and I almost won. I screwed up some endgame, but I was outplaying the opponent and winning, so I don't think it's a cause for concern if you just know it well and learn it from the course. But you cannot play 3 knight bd7 to avoid it, because then they can go f4, and that's worse for you, unfortunately. I'm not going to close the account, but I will just not use it. The speedrun accounts are not... they only serve for the speedrun. Hello, Stymut. Okay, you'd love to keep me going. Yeah, there are a lot of viewers, and I guess that's a good sign. So we'll try to play a bit more. I mean, I also don't feel too comfortable, but you can hardly find an opening where there are no such lines with black. Positional strategic and calculation book for 1800 FIDE. Good question. I mean, I usually suggest Agard's book's Grandmaster preparation for any levels. Maybe the strategic play and positional play from that course. Okay, we said against these passive setups, we're going to play d5 anyway after c5. And seize more space. I'll play h6 now. The point is I want to go d4 and trap the bishop. I took away the square, and I basically wanted the opponent to take and then to break the opponent's pawn structure. Knight b3, this is an alternative. Now I have a choice. I can go c4 and then take on e4. That's a typical plan in the King's Indian. Or I can just push d4 and seize more space. Kind of like both, honestly. Okay, let's go d4. Takes, and now all the captures are probably fine, but I'll take with the c pawn. And now we'll just play with more space and start immediately bringing the pieces to the right squares. Already knight c2 is a threat, or knight a2, and it's already all she wrote. The position is completely winning. The rear rook up. It quickly backfires. Very often it quickly backfires. You have seen that. I've seen that during the speedrun. Okay, this is hanging. I need to get the knight out. That's more important than the pawn. So I guess just b5, and after takes either knight b3 or bishop b3. That seems more logical. Yeah. Bishop b3. Okay, let's go bishop b3. If queen d2, then I have queen c7, and there's no way to defend this bishop. That's the point. At least no way as far as I can see, because there's no way to bring the king and defend with the rook. Of course, everything was winning, but this is quite accurate, I think. Yeah, queen there, but now we just start taking everything. Take, and now knight c2 to pin the knight. Knight f3 is the way to defend it, and now just convert the endgame with many pieces up. Let's go here. Take everything. If they play very passive, it will backfire. That I can promise you. Okay. Is the win counter good? 73. Yeah, it is. Okay, let's keep going. I guess we'll try to go to 1500 today. Again, we'll use this system. We have used it with both white and black. Against these passive lines, it was very, very efficient. e4. Putting the knight in d7 is strange, because now I think I can go e5 and this knight cannot go there. Now it has to go either to a passive square, and I'll try to exploit opening in the center immediately, or maybe to g4, but on g4 it would be not ideally placed, because I would just defend this pawn and chase it away in a few moves. And now we'll do this in a King's Indian attack style. Put h4, bishop f4, queen d2, and go for an all-out attack on the king. I'm tempted to sack immediately. I'm not sure if it's good though, because e5 will hang. But it's very tempting. Still, when I was a younger a younger player, I would always go for such things. Doesn't matter, but I've become a old positional player in the meantime. So I'll first improve all of the pieces, and only then, maybe even this one, and only then I'll sack. I'll play it slowly. Hello, Spectre. Yeah, the speedrun is here. King h2, and now I guess it's finally time to go for the steamrolling attack. Bishop e4 is always possible, but it's just recapture. This cannot possibly be good. This I just take. All of my pieces are here, so the king should be very safe. And now the rook is coming as well. Let's go rook g1, bishop h6 is a threat. Yeah, this is the way to defend it, but what's a new problem for my opponent? The knight coming here. Knight e5 doesn't help because I take it first, and only then I do this. And the attack again worked perfectly. Guys, buy the course and you can win games like this as well. I have to promote the course, that's why we're out here. Maybe it's annoying to some people. I apologize if it is. But it really works, as we can see. Okay. Let's keep going. Also, I didn't blunder that much today. I blundered in that one game, but not like yesterday. Yesterday I blundered way more. Come on, let's go for the mainline fiddler, finally. No, still no. Still no mainline fiddler. Like c5 I still want to go, but somehow after takes and knight d5 I cannot really get rid of the knight in a good way. So I'll just play this first. And now I can take it. You published a course? Tell me more. Use the adjustable command. Now we'll take this, go knight e7, and we have seen several times in this speedrun already that this structure has really a lot of potential. I'll actually go rook b8 because I can also prepare a6 b5. I can play on this side of the board as well. That's what I did in a classical game. So why not to prepare this if possible? b5, and later on I will still be able to push for f5. I need to be very careful though, because after f5 this square is not ideal. But I can go h6 first. Even without knight g5 I would go h6 first. And now going for this is way better. f5 I think I should play now, and then follow up with g5, knight g6, g4, and a slow but nice attack. Because there is no real break or counterplay for white. We have the upper hand on both sides of the board. So no need to rush, we can slowly build up. Do I start with... Like, I'm a bit worried about g4 in a positional way, but I can always take it. It gives this square, that's why I'm a bit worried. Okay, I'll go g4 myself first, and only then this. f3, h5. I think the more my opponent opens up, the worse it will be for them in front of the king, because my pieces should be faster on these key squares. Queen g5, maybe doubling the rooks here. Okay, what's the point of d4 when I take? I didn't see the point. Like takes, there is no real problem, right? As far as I can see. And it just gives me an additional option to push e4, d3. Yeah, d4 was not a good move. h3. This one I will take. And queen g5 is good, e4 is good. Let's just bring the queen in, maybe knight f4 can also be an addition to this, but everything is more or less completely winning. Now it's time for e4. g4, there will be knight f4. Knight h2, it cannot come anywhere further, so I can include this at any moment, and then rook b2 is a threat. That's going to be the plan. This, I guess, blunders the pawn, or maybe it was intentional, but I definitely don't mind trading off more pieces, considering I'm 2 pawns up, and it's not some harmless 2 pawns, it's these 2 pawns. What's the quickest way to victory? Maybe bishop e5, and when knight f1, go here. This looks very scary. Knight f3, king there is checkmate, king here. I mean, there is everything, but this looks quite deadly. The rook hanging. Now we just start taking stuff. Actually, taking with the rook would probably be a faster checkmate, but what's not to like? So, what's up, chat? Any questions, comments, complaints? 14:25. Let's keep going. d3, knight f3, as always. This is some hybrid setup with both g and e6. Well, I have not seen this before. I'm pretty sure the plan is supposed to be the same. To fight like this in the center and try to seize more space. Let's go queen e2 first, and then maybe we'll follow up with e5. However, with the bishop on g7, we need to be a bit more careful about e5, because then it could hang. Knight d4 is not a move I particularly like for black, because it looks active, but actually it just allows me to get quite a lot of tempi for development and bringing my pieces into play with both c3, f4, and that also the knight on f3 was not too good, and when they exchanged it, I'm pretty sure it helped me. Okay, now I have a choice. I can trade or not. I mean, both is very good. Okay, I'll just take, simply so that the knight cannot go to d5 and block the position. It would also be very good for me, but yeah, with this passive bishop on c8, and the weakness on e6, the position has to be strategically completely lost. Let's bring all of the pieces to the right squares. Okay, e5. Why didn't I see this move? I should not have allowed it. I should have played bishop d4 first. Yeah, the reason why this was so bad and unneeded to allow was because now black got rid of all the problems which he had in the position. The passive bishop and the weakness on e6. He traded the weakness and the bishop. And I allowed it for absolutely no reason. So I messed up the bigger part of my advantage. However, still considering that I had such a huge development lead, black is still worse, and we can use the activity to prove that. So here, attacking the bishop and the rook, rook e8 was the only move to defend that. Now I plant queen c4 check, forcing queen f7. Okay, it's not really forcing queen f7. He can do that as well. But now I guess I should go here and rook f7. This was an option. I did not miss it, but I think now rook f7 is quite deadly. Because, okay, I'm giving up pawns, but I think the threats are way stronger because bishop g7 is an enormous threat. Bishop g7 and then discovered check somewhere along the line, and the queen is hanging. So I think tactically bishop g3 was not working. These speedruns are super useful because it doesn't just show how to get to a theoretically winning position, but gives some ideas of the strategies and how to win from the positions you get out of the opening. Exactly. You basically get a practice lessons for free, and you see how people react against this. So it should be very, very useful. Okay, let's calculate. So check. There is not too much to calculate because there is nothing to block the queen. Yeah, I messed it up completely here. So I was just supposed to play. Okay, this was okay. Still, maybe the whole bishop h3. I didn't see the e5 idea. I don't know why. Probably the easiest solution is to just play something like this and triple here and then gang up on the pawn. The position is extremely bad, as you can see. But with this, when I started allowing e5, it was not. It was still. Yeah, it was still queen g4. Yeah, tactically this was not working simply. Yeah, I already had the rooks on the open files and no weaknesses, so it was never like worse for me or anything. But I could have done it in a more precise way. That's for sure. Okay, let's keep going. What's the win counter? It's 74 or 5. No, I think it's 75, right? I forgot. Why don't I stream Title Tuesdays anymore? Let's just say they were bringing me way more bad emotions than good ones. If the demand will be very high, then I may start doing it again, but I don't think it will. Okay, so we reached a certain level of rating, and now people are not going for d5, but for the main line. And this is very good because I can comment on the new structures and the main stuff in the course. D, as we have said, is never good because it simply allows the bishop not to go to e7, but to a more active square like b4 or c5. Okay, queen e2. We can just castle. Taking here was also not bad at all, but I want to keep the bishop. We'll go queen e7 now, and considering white castled on this side of the board, we'll start attacking as we have done many times today. Where do I want to retreat the bishop? Maybe to c5. Whenever you make a pawn move in front of the king, that invites the opponent's pawns to attack you. For example, if they play a3, then it invites my b pawn to attack it. Had they played b3, it invites my a pawn to attack. It's something to always keep in mind. So let's go for the attack. 75. Thanks for confirming that. b4 immediately is probably the right approach. a5 is also not bad at all. Actually, let's go a5. I don't think we're in any rush because the counterplay here is very slow. Knight h4, I always have knight b6, and knight f5 I can take. I think I can slowly build up with no problems. Knight b1, I mean, it's a defensive move, but you see that it's going the wrong way for white when they have to make such moves. So now I guess it's finally time for b4, because after a4 I can take immediately. I can also include bishop a6 first, which I will probably do to force the queen to e1. If takes, that opens the rook, which is going to cause even more problems. Bishop e3, that's probably not a bad move. Can I take? Yeah, I can. If this, I'll include this. And knight a3, for example, I would take bishop a3 here and then take on b2 followed by queen b4 and take the bishop there. Do I include knight a4? I can do it next move, so no need. And now we're a healthy pawn up, and the king is way safer than white's king. This gives up the f4 square. I'll exploit that, absolutely. Hello to Squirrel. Yeah, it's this guy, and it's you. Welcome. You need Fisher Friday stream? Yeah. Yeah, I might get back to competitive chess.com sometime, but not too optimistic about that. Okay, let's go here with the tempo. After queen d6, my plan is to go knight a4 with a check, and after king a1 to take this pawn, and after king c1 take this one. The king is very, very unsafe. Still, the pieces are protecting it somewhat, so I'll need to add more artillery into the attack in order to finish the game. Okay, this I will take. Queen g6 hangs mate, and even if it doesn't threaten anything. Yeah, now they want to take this with the rook, but... Oh, wait. Why did they not give mate immediately? That's a good question, which I cannot really answer. Sorry about that, but yeah. You probably saw this way before me. And I even saw that I can do it after queen g6, but for some reason I thought the queen was protecting it immediately, and it wasn't. Okay. Hello, Mads3105. Yeah, rook d1 would have defended mate, but I could have done it after g6. Okay, do we get finally some mainline filler there? We didn't have them that much. No, we get d5s. Yeah, now they stopped playing d5s and started playing de quite a lot. This is a one move threat, but it actually helps me because it simply brings my pawn to c6, which I want to do anyway to restrict this knight. We'll play bishop b4, considering our opponent exchanged this pawn. Now I can definitely take. Is there a reason not to take? Some bishop a3 may be a reason. Okay, I'll just castle. There's nothing wrong with just castling. Maybe it's not best, but it's surely good. Now I will definitely take. Now there is no more bishop a3, and take the pawn. Now I've castled. I will not lose castling rights anymore, and all the pieces are coming to the right squares. So this is, I guess, a big blunder, because again it forks pieces, and after queen c4 there is b5. I don't have to exchange the knight for a bishop, I can take a full bishop. Hello to Fatality, Modric of chess. If I can choose, I would choose Mandzukic. I think he's very, very underestimated Croatian player. I know he's retired now, but yeah. Now we're a clean We're a clean piece up, and the rest is history. Again, we have seen how against 1d6 they very easily. They can very easily mess up. Let's go here. Let's go here. Knight of 6, take. Probably now I'll try to escort the pawns as quickly as possible to the final rank. Maybe develop the bishop first, and now we're finally ready to start pushing. After you have seen probably that the whole point of this course and the systems is to develop all the pieces to the right squares, create no weaknesses, and then have easy setups to start fighting with. Sophisticated SCL. Can we play? Hello and welcome to the stream first. No, unfortunately, because I'm not playing against the viewers. I'm playing a speedrun, which is a completely different approach, and it has different purpose. Because we are promoting the lines from my new Chessable course, which you can find by using the Chessable command, and we're showing how useful they can be by speedrunning from 800 to 3000 rating on chess.com using those lines. Maybe at some point, there are many streamers who are playing against the viewers. You can find one of them surely, or maybe in the future. I'm not so sure if it will happen, but if I'll stream more, then I will play against the viewers at some point as well. Yeah, this went completely the wrong way. Probably my opponent never studied the Philidor in detail, and yeah, it backfired very quickly. Let's update the win counter. What about Rakitic? He's probably even more underestimated than Mandzukic. His contributions to the teams have been mostly neglected, and I don't know why. They never talked about, gave him the proper respect, I think. Not really respect, but he should have been higher praised, I think. And just personal opinion. Okay, so we said against such systems that we're going to try to expand with a4, b4. We've had this on day 1 to seize more space here, and with either knight d2 or knight c4. Actually, let's go bishop b3 to get rid of this bishop. And while it may look we have a passive bishop left, still the space advantage is very nice, and you will see that we have a lot of potential anyway because of this space. Okay, my opponent wants to open up the position, which I'm definitely fine with, because he just did not develop this knight first. There is of course some point to what they're doing, trying to attack and so on. Let me just see what's the best reaction to it. I like knight d3 because it leads the knight to d5, where it will be more active, cause more problems. And this one I should just defend, I think. Queen d2. Taking this is never an idea, because it will open up all the pieces to attack my king. That's one thing I don't want to do. Against knight f6, I planned... I planned something else, but I'm gonna go c4 now. Because after bishop f3, I would have both this and this, I would think. I'm not sure which one is better. But against knight d4, I think... And I wanted to take, but maybe it's not so good. Okay, I will take. So what's better, knight d5 or knight g4? Somehow I don't want to open up the h file. Maybe it's not bad. Okay, let's go to d5. Take, and if they take on e2, go rook e1 and rook e2. The opening has not has gone my way in this game, but I have not played in the best possible way the middle game, unfortunately. Now when the opponent didn't take, now I guess I should absolutely take this. And now I need to be precise in defending. If I go rook e1, is rook h2 a problem? Yeah, it is. So I'm gonna have to... How do I defend this, actually? g3 I have to play. To have rook f2 and to block it like this. Rook f2, and then try to go bishop f1 and convert the extra piece if I can. Hopefully I can. I'll go for b5 and a6 to weaken my opponent's king quite quickly. ba6, queen g3 is probably the best try, but I have rook g2 then, and I don't think, like, my attack is very quick as well. I need to be careful about this and not to get mated. But after rook g2, now the queen is hanging, and now this, okay, it can be played, but then I'll have the f2 square, and if the queen just retreats, then I think I'll be able to also be very fast here. But my opponent did a very nice job of creating counterplay in this game, that's for sure. No matter how the game ends, he did very nicely in that regard. Yeah, here, and now the point will be to go for a7 and for checkmate before my opponent gets rook h2. I'm winning only by one tempo, I think, if that happens. Yeah, why didn't I see this? This is a good move. Okay, I have to play something. Okay, I'm not getting mated. That's actually bishop g2 is even stronger. Yeah, the games are getting more and more intense, that's for sure, and that's good, because nobody wants to see wins in 5 moves. Now we can do some very bad things to the opponent here. Yeah, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if I was losing somewhere in that game. Yeah, so where the problems began, this was immediately very, very good. Bishop e3 was probably not needed, but it was still fine. Where the problem started was this, knight e3. I should have probably done something way more, even here. Maybe just, I don't know, either d4 to open things up immediately, or maybe knight e1. This is the move which I may should have played. But of course I got a great position out of the opening. Then I started messing up. And here, this knight d4, knight c2. Yeah. Knight g4 was not that trivial to me, because I saw takes, and now, first of all, long castles takes. Here there would be some compensation, and secondly, this one also was not that clean to me, with the open files in front of the king. The engine gives queen f4, which of course I have not seen, and that's why there is an advantage. Fair enough, that I have not seen. Yeah, knight d5, this was, yeah, it was also fine, but
I started allowing a lot of counterplay here. Queen g3. Yeah, if I just went for no, not bishop g2, for rook g2 first, there would be no queen g3. But I thought I'm just faster. Maybe I am actually. Yeah. Okay, it was never a problem, but you're never like getting under these kind of attacks. Okay, where are we at? 1456. Yeah, the opponent put up very good fights. I think we'll end this session at 1500. Or if the players will want, then maybe we can prolong it as well. Not the players, the viewers who want it. Again, as we said, this is very efficient against the London. We'll use it again. No, don't blunder, nonsense. Just castle and play in a good way. Now I need to capture with the knight to protect the pawn, but I definitely don't mind that. I guess f6 makes a lot of sense, because it restricts this bishop in a great way. And the knight as well, and without white's light squared bishop, the light squared holes are not any kind of a problem. I'll go here. I'll try to exchange this. This knight is relatively strong, so I'll try to exchange it. And when you exchange the opponent's good pieces, what are the strategical main principles? Opponent's good pieces, always try to get rid of them. Your own bad pieces, always try to improve them. And your opponent's bad pieces, leave them on the board. Those strategical principles we're doing. Leave these on the board. Let's go here to stop short castles. This is not gonna get the job done. My opponent wanted to stop bishop c4, but this is even worse. So yeah. After a long time we'll get an easier game, I think. Yeah, that's it. Is the win counter 79? Games are like 116. No, it's 80 then. I missed a game somewhere. For now, there have not been losses or draws. That's good. And let's go for d6 again. My opponent is not here. At least it seems. But they showed up. And they showed up with one of these hippo setups. As we have said, we'll employ this against it. Castles h4. And now we'll go d5 immediately, considering they have not gone for c4. Should be 6, knight d7, and we will use the same system. The pawn on h6 looks nice, but I don't think it can cause problems on its own. If I successfully don't allow the other pieces to attack me, it should not be a problem. Now I'll go maybe knight e4, they can take and take e5. I want to stop knight g5. Okay, maybe I'll retreat this knight. Why not? The other one can always go this way, and they keep a huge positional advantage. No matter what, let's maybe seize more space here and put the knight in these squares. It's just here. It's just about not allowing other pieces to attack the king. Just keep the space advantage. Do I want to allow long castles or not? I think no, so I'll include bishop h4. And only then go for knight b4. At least the rook will be more passive and the king stays in the center. the next moves I can play or maybe knight c5 and d4 if needed to further attack here. Yeah, no, the knight, like, it can also go to f6 to attack this stuff. I kind of like this even better now, because after bishop f3 now I can play e4, and after takes this is a check. So it looks very, very tricky for white to hold this pawn and to hold position together. Okay, so the point is now what? To take and then go bishop f3. But then I take and go knight e4, then what? Now I attack the knight, I attack the queen. Hello to Zonko 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 8, 9. Moral of the story, with this repertoire it's impossible to lose 0 losses. Yeah. I mean, if they played like this with 0 ambition, with some hippo, then it will backfire badly. And quite a lot of them are doing just that. Let's go here. Sorry, you cannot play with me. We're doing a speedrun here. I'm not playing against the viewers. We're promoting the Chessable course and the lines suggested in it. You can use the speedrun and the Chessable commands to learn more. Let's go d3, knight f3. Again, they're doing this, so I will gladly take. I really don't know why so many people are doing this. How to open up? e4, d4, c4, all are good. Maybe e4. Now let's take and start pushing the other two. After they would retreat the knight, they would just keep on playing. But yeah, I guess my opponent was tilted for some reason. I forgot to include the last win, right? So it's 81, and I'll put immediately 82, considering my opponent just resigned. Okay, this is one of the things which is covered in the course. Here we're going to have to play like this, and my opponent is basically using the same setup which I would use. And sometimes when you have a repertoire, there is one line which you have to choose to play with both white and black. And when they play like this, then you have to play, then this is where the repertoire clashes with white and black. It has to clash at some point. Ours clashes here. So yeah, my opponent is basically doing what I would do. Okay, let's go e6 to force the trade, and then later we'll try to go b5. We worked on the course for many months, almost a year now. Let's take this. The idea is to open up the bishop. It's annoying to play against my own lines. Do I take the bishop pair or not? Somehow I want to include knight e2 and take it. HG, the king is still relatively safe. I'm not that worried yet, but that could change if he starts attacking knight g5, knight g4 and such moves. Let's include this, simply so that the rook becomes more active as well. My opponent started sacrificing stuff for this pin. Not sure how much sense does it make, but it makes some sense at least. Still, we'll get the development move with a tempo in, and then we'll move the queen sour. Yeah, I didn't think this was too good. But okay. I don't think there is need for keeping the queens on the board. We will just exchange the queens and then use the piece activity. At least that's the plan. So this is a good move by my opponent, attacking this. Now I'll need to go knight e4 to counterattack the bishop. And now I have a choice between taking on g5 or taking on f5. If I take on f5, rook takes. Yeah, it's probably not ideal, so I'll take this one. Allow my opponent to capture this, and now the advantage is not that big. My opponent can play some b3, knight c3, or this and knight c3. But still, the advantage exists because black has more space and better pieces. So let's try to convert this advantage. I'll go to c6 so that I can go c4. Had I gone to b5, then there would be b3, rook c1, would be way harder. And now my opponent is allowing quite a lot of things he's not supposed to allow. Knight b2 is a nice idea to try to block it with knight d3, but I think I can go c2, then force the rook to a1. And now when we double the rooks, after knight d3 there will be rook c3, and after knight c4 there will be d3. And now we can go knight e4 and slowly start taking material, I guess. What's the best way to do that? Maybe here. Now I'll not take material. I will just try to checkmate the king with rook f2, rook e2, and like that. Now we have a threat of mate in 1. Not really 1, but 2, after we secured the square. Yeah, it felt... of course, the technical win was also possible, but the win by going for the king, why not, if possible? Maybe this opponent already bought the course and studied it by heart. I sincerely hope so. Yeah, you can even annoy grandmasters if you use the course. And you can beat grandmasters as well, which we have proven already. Where are we at? 1490. I guess it will be 2 more games or 1 more game before I end for today. Or if the viewers really want, maybe I'll prolong it to 1600, but we'll see. And 1 hour ago, the short and sweet has been published on the 1d6. So you can take that course for free and check it out if you'd like. What's wrong with this new game? Maybe I misclicked something, but there are no opponents. Okay, yeah, probably there was something like that. Let's go t3, knight f3. Yeah, so the Fianchetto King's Indian, no, knight d2 or knight d7 here. Yeah, now I guess e4 immediately is to be played. Very often the opponents are putting that knight to b6. They just simply think it does not belong there. Okay, let's go e5. This is a more ambitious approach to try to close everything down. The more positional castles was also fine, allowing the endgame. I'll just solidify the center, and it seems like an amazing version of the French now, because there is little to no counterplay for black, while we have achieved many good things with white. Seized space and created now a weakness on e6. Bishop f4 looks normal to attack c7, control e5. And the last piece to get into play is the knight on b1. that's what we're going to do next. Ideally, it belongs on g4. So let's try to bring it there. Okay, b3 is not needed, but why not to claim that the knight 95 had little to no sons, and to restrict the knight. c3 is a bit weaker because I played that move, but I don't think anything critical is going to happen because of that. So yeah, the strategy in this position was, what's my worst place piece? The knight in b1. Where does it belong? On g4. And several moves later we brought it there, from where we can create massive problems. I can go to h6, but I don't have to do it yet. I can go queen d2 first and have the option of bishop h6, leaving the knight alive, which can absolutely be played as well. h4 is not needed, but why not to make an improving move? That pawn can also join the attack maybe in some moves. Now I could have played rook e2, rook e1 to bring even more pieces to the attack. Maybe that was better, but the straightforward bishop h6 also looks fine. Yeah, okay, now we will take here and take on e5. In order to activate this light square bishop, black was willing to give up a pawn, but yeah, it does solve one problem, this activity, but it doesn't, so it brings out a new problem. Now he's a pawn down, and still the knight in b6 is very misplaced. The knight is strong here, and white is completely winning objectively. So now it's just a straightforward matter of technique to win this game. Knight g4 is maybe a way to do it, because as far as I can see, if bishop takes, I can take here the rook. If rook e2, I can include knight f6 with a check. And if queen d8 or queen f7, I can take here twice and then play knight f6, forking the king and the queen. So it looks like the most efficient way. Yeah, here, okay, rook e8 was also winning, but here I have fork immediately. On d8 I would have to take, but it's completely winning no matter what. So yeah. This was also nice. Yeah, it's funny to see how it got misplaced and never moved afterwards. Yeah, that's why I said in the beginning, the knight in b6, that's not a great piece. That's not a great piece. I think I can update the win counter now to 84, considering my opponent left the game. Maybe I'll do one more session. Maybe I'll do one more session today in the evening, I'm not sure. But if I win this game, it will, and cross 1500, it will be the last session for now. Okay, now we have the improved London. We have one tempo up with white. We're one tempo up, sorry. How do we exploit that? Is there a good way to exploit that tempo up, or should I just develop the same way? Maybe I can go b3, bishop b2, and just play the same way. I guess that's fine. Again, playing against this bishop, that's supposed to be the pride of London. This bishop, and now we'll try to make it passive. Put rooks on the normal files and use that same plan we have seen in the game, which I screwed up later on, but I was also almost winning out of the opening. We'll take with the bishop, attack the queen, and force it to some awkward square, like d7. And now, I almost blundered again. I mean, I want to move the bishop. No, wait, I can take and then play e5. Why am I not seeing? That's the first move I should look at. So the point of this is that after takes, now if he takes d3, rook d3, then the queen would be hanging, and some move like this, now I can just recapture the bishop, and the attack on the queen is a problem. I'll include bishop f7 to gain one more pawn, and then take on d1. Now just place a normal g3 f4. We have a queen, they have a rook, the position is winning. Let's go f4. The Pride of London. Yeah, Schellingford likes the London system really a lot. Just ask him. Let's go knight d6 to force the trade and create a passed pawn. e6 is hanging as well. We'll take that now. Yeah, and that was a very nice win against the London with a tempo up. Yeah, and with that we just crossed 1500. Not bad. Yeah. So we will end the stream for now. There are not that many viewers anymore, and the chat is relatively silent. So I will just find someone to raid you to. I'll upload, of course, this on YouTube later on. And see you either today again in the evening, or I will be back tomorrow morning. That's for sure. We will rate. Who do we rate? Maybe GM Panchu. Grandmaster Tamás Banusz from Hungary. See that he's streaming. Or Katica Calashvili. I don't know. But we'll rate Tamás. You are welcome, guys. Glad that you were enjoying the stream, and see you soon. Bye bye.